It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome, welcome. It's the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. If you've got a question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. Let's kick off the show with Charlie. He is joining us from West Virginia. Hi, Charlie. How are you?
Jill, I'm well. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and Mark.
Oh, we are so happy to have you. Mark, I don't think we've had many West Virginia callers, so our listeners come on the air with us, so I'm very happy to have that. I've never been to West Virginia. What do I need to know about West Virginia that is not known?
It's a beautiful state, and don't judge a book by the political cover.
Oh, very nice. I would say that about New York as well. So come join us, Charlie, anytime. What's going on? How can we help you out?
Well, my wife and I recently turned 55 in September, and I've been working the same place now for 27 years, and I've been thinking about potential retirement, and I was sort of tagging 60 as a potential date for myself, and I was just trying to see if that is feasible and maybe get some insight as to our position and how that works.
All right. Well, I'm happy to work it through with you. So tell us a little bit more. Are both of you working full-time or just you, or what's happening?
We're both working full-time.
Okay. And how much money do you earn right now, Charlie?
It's variable. I earn any given year between probably 200 and 250.
That's got to go a long way in West Virginia. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
How about your wife?
She is a professor and no pension, unfortunately, but she earns 75.
Okay, but probably good benefits, I would guess.
Very good.
Okay, and when you talk about looking at retirement in, say, 5 years, does she feel that way as well or not?
Well, at present, she feels that she wants to go on until 65, which would be great because you mentioned the benefits, and we've got some excellent health benefits.
Oh, I love a spouse like that. That's wonderful. Well, okay, so let's talk about the other people in your family. You have some kids?
Both. I've got a 24 and 22-year-old daughters. They both have been launched.
Really? And full on their own? Do you have to make a little contribution here and there?
Literally just my youngest just picked up her own car insurance just last week. So she is off and running. There are no contributions so far, knock on wood.
And are they still using your Netflix account? I'm just kidding. That's fine. I feel like okay with that. Okay, so how much money have you guys saved?
I've kind of gotten it broken down. I've got a little list if I can just give you kind of the breakdown of what I have.
Do it, and I get to editorialize along the way. So tell us what you got.
Perfect. I have a 401k that has presently about 1.4 million in it. Only about 20k is Roth. That just is an option that came our way in the last couple of years.
Okay.
My wife has almost 540, also in a traditional tax deferred account. We each have a Roth. Mine's 135. Hers is about 131. And the only other tax deferred thing I have, someone sold me a bill of goods, a variable annuity a few years back. It has about 113 in that.
A few years back, is the surrender period up on that variable annuity, or does it still cost money to get out?
I think the surrender period is gone. I've got a base of about probably 65 in it.
And that's so, good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you have some options with that. Okay. How about non-retirement assets? What do you got?
Well, we have not a ton, but a decent amount in brokerage. It's 145 in a brokerage account. And I've got cash in CDs, high yield savings, that sort of about 165.
Oh, great. You know, when you look out at age 60 and just being done, let's say, do you project that you'll do something at that point, or I'm done, I want to just know what it looks like doing nothing?
That's what I'm trying to figure out also in this path. I can't imagine I'm simply not going to do anything, but
Yeah.
I'll probably do something different than what I'm doing now, and probably on more of a part-time basis, I would
Like
think.
small dollars, but keeping yourself in something.
Yes.
Gotcha. How about your house? What would you guess it's worth right now?
I'd say the house is about 425.
Is there a mortgage that is
No,
outstanding?
no mortgage.
How about a vacation property, a rental property, any other asset that is real estate?
Nothing income generating. I made the mistake, I think, of buying the lot next door. Makes good for good neighbors, but I still mow the thing, and that's about worth 50,000. All I have is taxes and mowing privilege.
You know, I want to just say that I love that you admitted that you're like, okay, I did it to protect, right? Because it's a defensive move.
Right.
You say like, all right, I'm going to go buy this. I don't want someone to build next to me. But, you still got to take care of it and pay the tax on it.
Right.
How much would you say that you guys spend on an annual basis or a monthly basis?
Well, with the girls having left the nest, I ran some figures, and we basically keeping track of what we bring in, what we spend, including savings. We spend about just shy of 8,000 a month, but that includes some savings that we put away each month for the brokerage and some cash.
But obviously, if you wanted to, as we look ahead, that, essentially, if you said, well, at age 60, professor wife will, maybe make a little, I'm sure she'll just get some cost of living adjustments. So, she'll make a little bit more, and most of her salary will cover your basic needs, right?
I would hope so. Yeah.
It sounds like that. I mean, unless you're planning to, are you planning, well, while she's working, I hope to travel the world. I don't think you'd do that.
And that's funny you should ask. I think we have lived very, I'll just say humdrum West Virginia lives. I mean, we've traveled here and there and overseas, but we don't live extravagant lives. And I am kind of concerned of an itch to travel more, and maybe some of the expenses going up, when we ultimately retire.
But I think you can probably afford it. So let me ask you this. When you look ahead, there's no pension, but you both have Social Security benefits available. Did you happen to look those up, that maybe at your full retirement age, which is 67 or 70, do you know what those numbers are?
Yeah, thanks to your program, I looked those up. And my 67, it pegs at about 3,800. 70 is 4771, and that is, I guess, assuming that I work through those days.
Yeah, but you'll probably be working for 5 more years, as you said.
Yeah,
and then your wife will qualify on her own record, I presume.
Yeah, she does. And I saw at 67, I don't have her 70. She's about 2,600.
Okay, great. Okay, so big picture. You ready for the diagnosis, doctor? The doctor's diagnosis is, you're great. Really? You're awesome. Good. You're really awesome. We'll get back to Charlie in just a minute. If you've got a question, all you need to do is go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Don't forget to check the box if you'd like to join us on the air live. This is the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, answering your financial questions. Let's get back to Charlie, who's on the line from West Virginia. I understand this desire of well, wait a minute. I'm only 60 years old. We're going to be, and also your wife's a professor, so I hope she's not listening right this second, but there's some good vacation potential there when you're on an academic calendar. Let's be honest, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying she doesn't work hard. I'm just saying she's got some good vacation built in. So even if you said to me, you know what, we got to build up our little nest egg so that we can spend not $8,000 a month, but we want to take a couple really nice vacations or one big one. and you say it's 10 grand a month. Let me just do that for you. Okay.
All right.
And if that were the case, I still think you're fine. I do. Mark, do you agree that Charlie, West Virginia can bang it out and do like 5 more years, work hard? I'm going to tell you about what I think you should be doing savings wise, but that 10 grand a month at age 60 and beyond, considering that his wife will be working probably till 65 and they'll get their benefits. How are you feeling about it, Mark?
I'm feeling good. Even if his wife wasn't working, I think I'm still feeling pretty good.
No. I want her to work. Don't say
yeah,
that,
I know. But they're in good shape.
I think you're in great shape. Now, the good news is that you're in great shape. Now, the interesting thing here is that the way that you're saving, I might tweak this a little bit. Do you get a match in your 401k?
I do. Ours is the 4%, and I max that out, the 35, and so, I get a 4% match on mine.
Yeah. And then you put in up to the 30,500 limit, or do you just do 4% and save everything else doing something else?
I put the 30,500 in.
So I'm sort of thinking a couple of, and right now you said some of it is Roth. Are you putting all Roth now, or are you doing some combination, or all tax deferred right now?
I've done 20% and 8.
So right now you're funding the 401k. She's funding her tax deferred account. Are you also doing backdoor Roths? Is that how the Roth money got in there? Because you make too much money.
Right. It's always been backdoor. We've always taken advantage of that while it was still available.
Okay. So you're doing you're through work, backdoor, and then also brokerage, right?
Yeah. And
you're saving a lot.
Yeah. Let me just add in, and I won't get into the details of the business, but I basically draw out. I've been living on much less than the 200, and I get a year-end distribution, and that can range anywhere between, 40 to 50,000. And I typically just pay the taxes on that. And that's what I've used to fund the girls' education through 529s to fund my other accounts. So there's always something
left.
Right.
Mark, the question I have for you is, should Charlie be doing all Roth, and or should he be pouring as much money as possible into the brokerage as well? Because listen, Charlie, we got taken to the woodshed by some listeners who said we should be telling people to only do Roth. It's much more tax efficient as long as the account's been open for 5 years. So this would work for you, obviously, because you're 5 years out from really needing the money. But Mark, would you say all Roth and then brokerage, or how do you think you'd carve it up?
Well, I certainly wouldn't do anything pre-tax. I see no benefit in that. So yeah, I would make all the retirement contributions Roth. And like you said, he's going to be doing it for 5 more years. When he's going to be eligible to tap this account in 5 years. The Roth taxation is certainly better than the brokerage taxation. So I would probably do that. Yeah.
And I think that if you have extra, like, I'm having a 250 year, not a 200 year. Yeah. Then I would say pop it into the brokerage account. The only thing that is like the only thing, and I really think you guys are in great shape, there are 2 risks that I see. One is that you're like, did I say 10 grand a month? Yeah, I know I said 8. Did I say 10? It's really like we're going 50 grand on this vacation. Like if you start drifting up, then it's going to be not as great. Or it may be that we have to revisit these numbers because you're done for a year and your wife's like, you know what? I am not really very psyched about you hanging out and having all this good time. I want to do that, which doesn't mean that you can't do it. It means that we would have to refocus the attention on cash flow and figure out from which account it makes most sense to pull your money. Because obviously if she's working, she's making 75, 80 grand. You're going to have 7 or 10 years where you have 5 years first where most of your money most of it's taken care of. You won't have to really spend much out of pocket, right? And then beyond that 5-year period, 65 to 70, there may be some different choices that we would make about where we would pull the money from. But again, predicated on whether or not your wife is feeling like she wants to keep jamming or take it easy. And it's up to her. I agree with Mark. I think you're fine either way. You should feel really good about whatever like. We had a guy who came on the air with us yesterday And he's like, I'm just a normal guy and I want to retire early. And I was like, you're not a normal guy because you're like 43 years old and you got $6 million. You, Charlie, I think are representative of a lot of our listeners, which is you saying, I worked for 27 years at this company. I've worked hard. My wife is a professional. We've put money away. You must have been saving from a very young age. You make good money. You live within your means and you have some options. And you're about to kind of cash that check of, hey, I really did the right thing. I made this work. I got my kids through school. We're good. And to me, this is a great plan. So I'm excited to hear about what you do next.
That's great to hear. Could I ask one more question?
You can ask two more.
In terms of allocations of these accounts, equities versus where should that be, or where should that track?
Well, you tell me. What's the allocation look like right now?
Well, I'm most of the accounts are about 80-20.
Okay. And you're fine with the risk? Like when the blank hits the fan, you don't feel so awful? You're okay?
We're again, humdrum. We never even look at it.
That's why. This is how you maintain your sanity. Thank you. You've just now proven my point. Look, once you start, I don't think you need to do anything right now as long as you're okay with the risk. I think as you approach the time where you're going to be needing your money, you might want to pull back to more like 70-30, 65-35. But, really, you don't have to dip into this money. This is still growth money for you. Again, if your wife says, I'm done, and 5 years from now you're both retired, then we have some slightly different issues, which is like we just have to free up the cash for you every year, right? And we are going to need to put, maybe instead of $10,000, $11,000 a month because we're talking about buying health insurance. But I don't think that you need to be going to 20-80. Mark, do you have a different opinion about that? 70-30, 65-35 sound okay?
Yeah, I just always come back to my own personal preferences. When I'm in my 50s, I'll be 70-30. That's just me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and Mark knows that, by the way, I have been 60-40 for my entire life, which is I've left so much money on the table. I am such a wimp because I'm much more comfortable figuring out how to make more money in my career than I am in my portfolio.
Excellent point.
I am such a wimp. It is funny that I'm in the business of finance, or I was. Then now I'm just talking about it.
I'm glad you're a wimp. It may force you to work a little longer.
Oh, I hate you right now, Mark. Truly, I love you, but I hate you. All I do is think about how Mark's career is going to go, not my own. So let me ask you something. Do you have those estate documents done, and is that taken care of?
We do. We do have the estate documents. Probably need to update them, but
because it talks about guardianship for your 24-year-old.
Fortunately, we updated them after they got a little older. So we had guardianships in there, but now that's out. But I need to look at them again. But I feel pretty comfortable that if something, God forbid, happened, we'd be okay with that.
I think it's great. If you have a question, something going on in your life, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. Hey, if you've got a question, just go to our website. It's JillOnMoney.com and you click the Contact Us button. While you're there, sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every Friday. An excellent tune-up for this program. Right now, let's talk to Rick, who's on the line from Chicago. Rick, what brings you to us today?
I've heard a lot of conversations and questions around retiring early, but they always have some kind of unique circumstance, whether they're going to live in Portugal or they're single, or, they have a debilitating medical condition. but nobody ever asks the question where it's just a normal, family with some kids in their mid 40s and they have a decent amount of money. It's always an extreme circumstance.
I know. Okay, but the good news is
normal person.
You are representing the normies out there. So go for it. And, I will say this, and many people ask this question. They don't ask it necessarily framing it your way. They'll often say, like, I need to do something different, or I'm so wiped out. We got a lot of this during COVID, right? A lot of medical workers, nurses, doctors, first responders, they were exhausted and they just needed permission to do something different. Rick of the Normies, tell us what's going on, how you're in your mid 40s and how we can get you to retire early. What's up with you?
So I think it all started with the whole COVID situation. And, my priorities have changed from wanting to climb the corporate ladder to wanting to spend more time with the kids and the family before they all go off to college, and just, spend more of my time doing what I want to do when I'm younger, as opposed to being free when I'm 65 or 70.
Okay. I can get aboard that. So I hope you have a pile of money saved. So you're working full time right now?
I am working full time right now. Yes.
How much do you, and how much do you guys earn?
We are in the $350,000 range.
Okay. And you both have been saving for retirement diligently for many years. So tell us about what you've saved.
Right now we have about a total of just about $6 million.
Mark, this is called the $6 Million Man. That is the episode name.
In his 40s, Mamma mia.
I love it. I hope that this is so exciting. So, so the $6 million that's saved, is it all in retirement accounts, or is that sort of everything lumped together?
That's everything. The only thing in there that we don't have allocated for us is we do have 529s for the kids.
Okay.
Which is just shy of 500,000 at this point.
How many kids do you have?
We have 3.
How old are they?
Middle school and high school.
So you got $5.5 million. Of the $5.5 million, what percentage, or what amount rather, would be accessible to you early? In other words, before 59.5, do you have brokerage money? Is there Roth money? What do you have?
So we have $300,000 in cash. We have just over $300,000 in Roth accounts, $1 million or so in traditional retirement, and then over $3 million in some kind of taxable account.
Okay, that's great. So, how about other assets like your house?
We have a house. It has a 3%-ish mortgage on it. Our monthly payment is under $1,000 right now, so we're not going to worry about paying that off.
What's the house worth?
Online says about 500.
And the mortgage that remains on that cheap mortgage?
Probably about 250.
Okay. Any other real estate, rental real estate, vacation property, anything like that?
Nope.
Okay. Kids are one level of dependence. How about parents? Because you guys are young, so hopefully your parents are still alive. Are they well? Is there any idea that you might have to take care of them in the future?
They're all alive and they're all healthy right now. There is no expectation of them needing financial assistance in the future.
Great. Oh, I'm glad that they're alive and healthy, but of course I put the emphasis on no financial needs in the future.
Right. Not yet. Not having that come to us.
Yeah. Okay. So this is all really interesting. So when we talk about you saying, hey, I want to retire early, what do you think that means for you? Are you saying to me, if I could just call it quits right now, give me permission to do that, or give me permission to do something different so I can be home with my kids more? How do you see this?
It's more of a financial freedom kind of question for me, an answer for me. It's more about controlling my time and not having to do something, right? It's the kids, they have activities, you want to do vacations, and so it's more of just being available for them. And if I choose 2 years from now that I want to do something, then I can do that. But my goal, my hope is to not have to do anything in order to make this work.
Starting now. How much do you think you guys spend all in? And don't make it like, well, we could make it less. Let's do the real number. What are you spending now?
$150,000 a year.
Okay. And when you look at this scenario of retirement, is your wife going to continue working, or is it just you that's going to be a, I don't know, slacker?
No, if I stop, she has to stop. We got a deal that we both have to be able to leave for one of us to do it.
I have the biggest smile on my face because I always think it's funny when people are like, oh, no, my spouse is going to keep working. But that might save the relationship, so that's fine. Will either of you be entitled to a pension in the future?
No.
Ostensibly, when you have that 150 grand a year, that we need to beef it up a tiny bit just because we need health insurance, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the big wild card for me.
Well, I mean, it's just money. And you know what I mean? Like you say,
Yeah,
okay, instead of 150 a year, it's 170 a year.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So what would you, if we looked at these numbers, what would you rather do? Would you rather have the ability to like back off now and do nothing with the potential that you might have to like dip back into doing something later? Or would you rather work for like an extra year or two now to kind of prepare for the I'm done forever? What do you think?
I hesitantly say work another year.
Okay. Oh, boy, you really hate your job. I'm sorry. We'll get back to Rick in just a moment. This is the Jill on Money Show, and we are trying to help you navigate your financial life. If you'd like to join us, go to JillOnMoney.com. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, trying to help you make better financial decisions. Let's get back to Rick, who's on the line from Chicago. So, Mark, they got $5.5 million. Okay, $3 million taxable. We got a long way to go before Social Security. How do you feel about living on $5.5 million for the next 20 years? What do you think? Is this doable? And they got to spend 170 grand a year.
Well, like you said, some of it is accessible, some of it's not accessible.
So you first have to get to 59.5. So we're looking at the $3 million, right? We would essentially have to exhaust that by 59.5, right?
You'd have to.
Okay. So that's done.
And even if you exhaust it, it's not necessarily a slam dunk.
No, it's not. I'm just going to let's just do some simple math, right? Okay. So if we have to do this, how old are you? You said mid 40s, but what, 45, 47? What are you?
43.
Oh, that's
Even
not
worse.
mid. That's not the wrong direction, Rick. So, oh God.
I can't wait to hear what this guy did to get all this money by 43.
I robbed a bank, but it's great. I mean, so we have to do 16 years at 170 grand a year, right? So we do have to spend that $3 million. Let's say we didn't touch the traditional. I mean, I think it's weirdly doable. I'm going to tell you why. I think you blow out the taxable account. It's done by the time you're 59.5. The traditional grows. And then at 59.5, that's what you're going to live on. And I don't know what it's going to grow to and, be 4 million or 5 million, but I think it's doable. It's a tiny bit freaky to me that you're going to blow through your whole taxable account. I mean, that's me. Do you have the kind of job that you could jump back in if you really felt scared in 5 years, for example? Because we're sort of being like, oh, we're talking to you after a bull market. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I could find work to do.
Is there any way that you could do less of what you do now and to have that same flexibility or not?
It depends on the employer, but the industry definitely allows it.
And you don't want to try that first? I'm worried. I mean, look, worried. I'm not worried. you have a ton of money saved. I think you can get there. Look, the taxable account, the thing is that as you're living on it, you always have to have some cash on hand. But you have the cash, you have the taxable account, right? And that taxable account has to be invested a little bit less aggressively because now you need to live on it, right? So I imagine, I'm guessing that you're a young guy and that this is maybe an aggressive portfolio or at least a growth portfolio. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
we'd have to pull back a little bit. You'd always have to have in that taxable account, you'd have to have 200 grand available every year so you can live, right? And so you would do that over time, but it can't be quite, I mean, you know, the year that we have a nasty recession or a bear market, you're going to feel uncomfortable doing this. You're going to be spending down. But, you know, if you do it every year, 16 years, I don't know. I think you're going to work it. I think it'll be okay. Mark, $2 million invested in a growth portfolio for 16 years. What's that going to grow to about?
It should be around $5 million.
Okay. So it's 5 million and his 170 is going to be like 250. I mean, it can work. I'm telling you, it can work. Weirdly, this will be, I think can work, but it's not a slam dunk if things happen in the wrong way, in the wrong order. If all of a sudden you give your notice and next year we go into some horrendous bear market, you're going to freak because all of a sudden your 5.5 million is like, let's just be like crazy. Let's just say that we have to look at worst case and best case. Best case is big rally, everything's good, yay, the economy's going great, you're a winner, everything's great. But if you have one of those, oh, my 5.5 million quickly became 4 million, you would not feel good. And that's going to be that's always a harder thing to absorb when you're not making money. So I'm going to say, Rick of the normies, first of all, you're not a normie because who has $5.5 million when they're 43? The normie.
You're right. He comes on. Oh, you never hear from normal. You are so far from normal.
You are not normal. And that is a great, you are, that is a compliment. Okay. But it is clear to us that, you know, this can work, but you might run into a speed bump that'll freak you out. And you guys have to be comfortable with that. And if you are, and you really feel like we're doing this, damn it, we're doing it, I think it can work. I do think that it's going to be a very interesting ride for you. And I don't think that, I don't know what you do, but like, you know, we've talked to a lot of people who do some scary stuff. One of my favorite ones, Mark, was the people who are like, well, we make extra money by going to inspect nuclear power plants and something like that. But I mean, if you can figure out a way to make some money, just even a little bit, like between the two of you, if you make 100 grand a year, that will even give you some baseline where you won't freak out if everything doesn't go well. So what do you think about this? How are you feeling?
I think that's kind of where I'm at. Next year's a 30% drawdown.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where I'm at in the discussions I'm having with my wife are at. It's just, it all looks great until something goes sideways.
If you've got something going on in your life and it impacts your money at all, get in touch with us. Go to JillOnMoney.com. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And gosh, I forgot to mention that our upcoming live webinar is right around the corner. Yep, it is on Thursday, November 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is part of our Jill on Money live service. And to subscribe, you just go to JillOnMoney.com and you'll see the little button, and it's $35 for a whole year. So you'll get 4 webinars. The first one coming up, as I said, Thursday, November 14th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we've got a special guest. His name is Michael Goodman. He's a certified financial planner. He's also a CPA. And we're looking at your year-end planning and specifically, how are we going to take advantage of the losers that you may have? This is called tax loss harvesting. And we're also going to talk about what you do with these big winners if you're lucky enough to have them and how you take advantage of that. But you can only participate if you are a member of Jill on Money Live. So go to the website. It's right there. Let's end this hour with a question from Laura, who writes, I'm almost 64. I'm relatively healthy and plan on working full time for another 5 years or so. I opt for an FSA. That's a flexible spending account, gang. Each year at the $400 to $500 level. Mostly I use it for glasses and other healthcare costs. I try to use it all, but I've had about $200 left over the last 2 years. I buy glasses, although the prescription hasn't changed. Do you think an HSA is better for me? Or should I just reduce the amount of the FSA and put the money into my 403B? Oh, this is a great question. I love it. It's a benefit enrollment question. Well, first of all, you can always just reduce the amount, especially if you're not using it. But here's what's important, Laura. While I love a health savings account, you can only use it if you have it paired with a high deductible health plan. If you have a high deductible health plan, it may be worth considering because unlike an FSA, there's no use it or lose it rule, and you can roll that over with you when you finally retire and help pay for other costs. So I hope that helps. Okay, this is the Jill on Money Show, and we are answering your financial questions. If you have one, just go to the website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we'll get your note. Jill on Money. We will be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's hour number 2 of the Jill on Money Show, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. And we don't really care whether or not you have a lot of money, a little money, a million amount of money. What we do care about is how we can make the process of dealing with your financial stuff a little bit easier. So if you need our assistance, just go to the website, JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button, and we'll get your note. So easy. And that's the note that we read as an email, like this email from Randy, who writes, I'm 55. My wife is 46. We live in Northern California. We've got 2 kids, ages 17 and 14. We own our primary home outright, and we have 2 rental properties. One is fully paid for. The other one has an outstanding mortgage of about $200,000. So all 3 properties, total value is a little over $2 million. So $2 million, $200,000 in outstanding mortgage. Randy and his wife earn about $300,000 to $400,000 a year. We have about $1.4 million saved for retirement, including a 401k as well as traditional and Roth IRAs. We also have $50,000 in liquid savings and $200,000 in 529s. We have no pensions. They've got 1 car loan, $40,000, and he says, we're tired. I mean, you're tired. She's 46, you're 55. It sounds like they need to exercise a little more. I'm going to start sounding like my sister. Just drink more water. Who else says that, Mark? Okay, how much more do we have to save in order to live off of our savings and retirement funds? How much longer do you think we need to keep working? What's making this difficult to plan is the cost of college for both kids, not knowing if they're going in-state or out-of-state, public or private, aging parents, where we'd like to live after the kids leave for college. California's not getting cheaper. And the fact that we want to travel and see the world. Where do we even start? Okay, so Randy, here's where you start. I'm giving you some homework. The first thing you need to do is tell me exactly how much money you spend every single year, or, break it down by the month. Then you need to tell me what exactly it means to have those aging parents. Are you taking care of them financially, or that you can't move too far away? the fact that you have all this money saved is great, but it looks like everything is in real estate. So are you willing to sell some of these rental properties? Doesn't seem to me like you are, in bad shape. It's just we can't get our hands on the money. And I want to know how much are those rental properties spinning out for you. So we need to know what you spend, your income from each of the rental properties. And I really would be interested in knowing at this point, the aging parent piece. That's the part that's getting me a little, bogged down. I don't know what that means. It sounds to me like since you have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, you are not going to be retiring anytime soon. We really need to see about the in-state, out-of-state. Maybe you should just say, hey, you know what, kids? You can't go out-of-state and stay in California where you have a good system. Mark, am I being mean? It sounds mean when I say it that way, doesn't it? I'm a little worried about that. Here's another retirement question. You guys is so funny. Like, you're so hyped up about retirement, and let's see if anyone is actually willing to tell me exactly what I need to know about the expenses. I think Julie is the one I'm going to end with. Is going to be on it. Okay. Julie says, I'm wondering if we are on track and able to retire around 62 to 65. Husband wants to retire yesterday. He'll be 60 in November. And will work till 62. I'm 58 and I will work until 65, but could go part-time as early as 62 or 63. Husband's previous 401k, $760,000. The current one is $46,000. 20 grand is Roth. Her 403b, $110,000. CDs of $30,000. Cash savings, $20,000 to $30,000. At 62, husband will start pension, $2,000 a month. Might work part-time, earning around $30,000, and would like to start Social Security at 65. Why 65? That doesn't make any sense. Just wait till his full retirement age at 67. She's going to get a pension at age 65, $1,500 to $1,700 a month, and Social Security of about $1,900 at 67. 4 kids, 2 are fully launched. One almost will be next year. One 16-year-old, and the plan is for 4 years of college and to use retirement funds since we're old parents. Expenses, $8,000 a month, less when we're tired other than traveling. Wondering if on track. I think there's a theme today, and I think the theme is this. Everybody needs to run their own retirement numbers, but also I think you're all getting a bit ahead of yourselves when you think about retiring without having the determination of what happens with your youngest child. And maybe I'm off here, Mark, but it looks to me like they're going to have a good chunk of money because the husband's got the pension of $2,000. Then I'm going to pretend that he's got his, we're going to wait till his age 67. And then we're going to get her pension of another $1,500 and then $1,900 here for her Social Security. So it looks pretty good for them. 5, 6, 7, 8. They got about what they need income-wise. But I'm a little concerned about the game plan of taking money out of the retirement account in order to pay for college. So that's the piece of this that's tough. You don't have that much money in retirement, $760,000, $900,000. If you took $200,000 out of these accounts to pay for the 16-year-old's college, that wouldn't be very good. So I think that you're generally on track. However, I would, number one, make sure you absolutely positively delay taking Social Security for your husband until 67. Same for you. And I would really look at running these numbers and making sure that you do so with a contribution that's more known in terms of the college cost. So I guess if you're telling me it's in state and you know what the cost is going to be, that's fine. I think you're on track. I would much prefer if he works till 62 and you're going to keep working till 62, 63. You sock away some money. You're going to need some more money in cash. And I would be very hesitant to be draining big money out of your retirement accounts. Mark, do you agree with that?
I would not be tapping retirement for college. No way. And especially them, because they're like right on the fence as it is.
Yeah, I'm a little worried that you guys just we haven't quite gotten it there for you yet. So I think that I feel okay about it. Like, the income is good. I know that Teresa Ghilarducci would kill me, the woman who is like the most fabulous labor economist and retirement economist, and she'll always say to me, like, don't tell people to work longer. But in this case, I think if you're going to actually say that paying for my kids' college is the priority, then you should keep working if that's really your priority, because otherwise I don't know, I feel like this could be a problem. I'm sorry if that's not exactly what everyone wants to hear, but you can't do everything. So we're going to have to make some choices along the way, okay? If you have a question that you're thinking about, maybe it's keeping you up a little bit, just get in touch with us. Go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. We are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. We do that by making you do a tiny bit of work. Just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and write us a note. If you would like to join us on the air live, check the box. And executive producer Mark Talercio, the best executive producer in the world, he will get in touch with you and he'll arrange for everything. He also seems to do a lot of tech support with people who have a problem with this, because we're a system that works through the interwebs. So he'll help you out, and we'd love to have you on. Our upcoming live webinar is right around the corner. Yep, it is on Thursday, November 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is part of our Jill on Money live service. And to subscribe, you just go to the website. It's right there. Right now, let's talk to Sydney, who's on the line from Austin. Hello, Sydney. What's going on? How can we help you out?
Hi, guys. So I have a couple of quick fire questions. I'm relatively new to investing. I'm 28, but come from an international background, so pretty unfamiliar with all the ins and outs of investing in the U.S., but I have a pretty basic grasp at it. And if you guys are up to it, I have a couple of questions I'd love to ask.
We're in on where are you coming from? That's what I want to know.
Originally from France.
Oh, that's one of Mark's favorite countries.
Is it?
I hear no accent.
I don't either.
Yeah, I've worked at phasing it out.
Really? You want to pour it on for us? Just, you know what I mean? Like, it would be kind of fun for you to actually just, speak French to Mark, and he'll answer you in Italian. Okay, Sydney, what's going on? What can we do for you? How old are you first?
I'm 28.
Oh my God, you're so young.
Yeah, my partner's 31.
Okay.
So my current situation, salary is 150K, no debt. Cash in a high yield savings account is 160K. 401K has about 74,000. Roth IRA has 16,000. Brokerage has 0. And for context, I'm maxing both Roth IRAs and 401K.
And your 401K, is it a Roth or is it a traditional?
So it was a traditional until I heard you guys talk to Mr. Ed Slott.
Yeah. Now you're all Roth.
Exactly. All right. That'll be one of the questions.
All right, that's great. We love that. That should be great.
Let me finish with company stocks. So I work for a company that is held by a private equity organization, and just below average multiple exit would be about 200 grand. But obviously that's very.
But you can't do anything with that stock. It's not publicly traded. It's just.
No,
okay.
That would be in case of an exit, either a sale or an IPO.
What happens if you leave? Like, if you just left the company, let's call it, let me make it up. Let's say it's Dell Computer, just for, the heck of it. And you left. What happens?
Up to the board's discretion. So right now, I don't think we can count on much.
Okay. So it's like on your balance sheet, but nothing to do with it.
Correct.
Okay. I got you. Keep going.
My partner's situation, so salary is 125,000. She has zero debt. She has 20K in her high yield savings account. She has 25K in her 401K. And she will be maxing both 401K and Roth IRAs, which I'm hoping to open come first week of next year.
But no Roth yet.
No Roth yet.
Where do you guys live? Do you own or do you rent?
We rent.
How much is your rent?
Rent is 20, call it 3,000.
And do you have a desire to buy in Austin or not?
Not in Austin. Desire to buy, that's one of the goals. So let me finish just with her situation. Company stock, she has about 160K. She works for a company that is funded by venture capital. Those are restrictive stock units.
Again, this is something we're going to show on a balance sheet, but she cannot, there's no liquidity at this point. You're waiting for... Okay.
Waiting for an IPO in this case.
Okay.
Goals, potential move in 6 to 18 months. So I think keeping a little bit of cash for that would be of good use. Wedding in 2026 and potentially buying a house in 7 to 12 years is my guess.
So the move in 18 months is a move, but not a purchase of a home?
Correct.
Okay. And you said the purchase of the home is how long?
I don't see myself buying a house for at least 6 years, 6, 7 years.
Okay.
I want some flexibility.
What about this move? When you say move leave Austin or move just a different place in Austin?
Leave Austin.
And you could both work elsewhere? Or, I mean, you could take your jobs, are they remote or?
Correct, both remote.
Okay. So what do we need to think about for moving? You mean a more expensive market or a less expensive market?
Probably something similar.
Okay.
Nothing has been completely decided, but given the Austin's cost of living, we're not moving to New York. It's unlikely that it would be a substantial increase in cost of living.
Okay. At this point, how much money are you guys spending on a monthly basis?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
That's a good question. I can't say that I can give you a number.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to be your homework. You need to figure out your expenses. I mean, you're saving a lot of money, so that's good. And you don't have any. You said I have zero money in a brokerage account. Is that an intention of yours to start a brokerage account?
Right. Yep. That's the intention. So I think the first question is emergency fund, right? So obviously I want to keep some cash aside. I think it's hard to determine when you go a little bit more into detail, right? Because we both work in tech, but it's different tech. I'm in cybersecurity. She's in the healthcare billing services space. I'm in the field. I'm an account manager, and she's an executive assistant. So two completely different roles as well, right? So in an economic downturn, it's unlikely that both would be impacted in the same way.
Okay, but what we do know is that you're saving a lot of money, and what we probably can intuit from all of this is between the two of you and this $275,000 that you earn, you think, I mean, I'm just going to guess, you got rent of $3,000 a month, you're saving a bunch of money. Do you travel a lot? I mean, is there a line item of your lifestyle that you think is a bigger one than most? Or, you say you're from France, you're going back and forth. What are we spending money on?
Yeah, we travel. I think travel is probably where we spend most of our money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be fair if, considering it's rent and utilities and groceries and all that fun stuff and travel, do you think you're spending $10,000 a month? Does that sound about right? Maybe less?
Probably less.
8, maybe? Let's say 8.
Yep.
Okay, let's say $8,000 a month. So in that case, if we want to think about what you need for an emergency reserve fund, we would say 6 to 12 months of your living expenses. And as you said, it might be unlikely that you would both lose your job at the same time. But on the other hand, if we had just a big ass recession, maybe you would, maybe one of you would, one of you wouldn't. So I would say of your 160 in cash, I think there's two things to consider. One is that you have to have at least $50,000 as an emergency reserve. That's my 2 cents. But then you got to keep some money for this move. I mean, I don't know. It'll cost you some money to move, right? And and it will be something. Is it going to be $20,000? Maybe. All right. So of the 160, maybe you keep $70,000 in cash, and now you have the rest of the money to invest in. That's the beginning of your brokerage account. That's
Correct.
that's what I would say. So, maybe $80,000-$90,000 goes into the brokerage account. And when you're investing in your Roth right now, tell me the kinds of things that you're investing in.
Total U.S. stock market index.
100%, right?
100%. Yep.
Okay. Got it. And you mean you are young, so that seems okay to me.
I was going to ask, is that a good strategy for 10 to 20 years? Or
Yeah, but I might put a little bit of money in like a bond fund, maybe just a intermediate term bond fund. I might throw some money in there, 10%, 15%, not too much more than that. Maybe, you sound like you're kind of ready to rock and roll. And I think when you're funding your brokerage, you can also fund her Roth IRA right away, right? Like you can make sure that happens. Is she maxing out her 401k, and is it a Roth?
She is.
And is it a Roth?
Yes, it's now a Roth.
Okay, great. We'll get back to Sydney in just a moment. If you've got a question, go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here answering financial questions, life questions. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like the things that you guys are talking to us about, you say it's about money, but it's really about your real life. And we are so happy that we can help you at least deal with the financial aspect of that. So if you've got a question, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we'll get your note. If you'd like to join us live, check that box. Mark will do everything else. Right now, let's get back to Sydney, who's on the line with us from Austin. And then what I would think about is the fact that brokerage account becomes the seed of a down payment fund.
Correct.
So as you go forward, I'm going to give you two pieces of homework to consider. I want you to look at your expenses and look back and just say, how much do we really spend on travel? It just doesn't show up on a month-to-month basis. So I want two different kinds of expense analysis done. One is, what do you actually spend month to month? Then I need you to account for the travel part. And then I want you to think about what it is you need to do in terms of extra money that you will need within the next year. Oh, you know what I didn't talk about? The wedding. How much do we have to spend on that?
Still to be determined, but I think that's worth speaking in terms of months of an emergency fund, and then just speaking about the rest going to the investment.
Yeah.
Just helps because that'll be part of my homework.
Okay. And the wedding, whatever you think you're going to need to spend in 2026 for the wedding,
Yep.
I would not invest. I
Yep.
would not invest that. I would just pop that into like a 2-year CD and call it a day.
Yeah.
And then from there, once you have the expense number, you can also begin the process of putting money into the brokerage account on a monthly basis if you'd like. Do you ever get bonuses?
No.
Okay. So it would really be like a monthly contribution. Maybe you're going to find out when you run the numbers that your expenses are actually pretty low and you can put a bunch of money into your brokerage account. And then maybe you'll find out that, well, actually the 8 was not really the right number. It's really more like 9 when I added in all of my travel. But it sounds like you're in very good shape. You make a lot of money, and it'll be interesting to see where you end up next. I'm just trying to, the whole Austin market blew up. How long have you been there?
I've been there 5 years.
So you saw the whole thing happen. It was pre-COVID that you got there.
Yep.
And do you think that what are the other cities on the potential list? Let's pick it right now.
We're actually visiting Rhode Island right now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Not a very tax efficient state, to be honest with you, but it's lovely. And isn't the foliage nice? I lived in Rhode Island for some time. And you know what I used to say? I would say that the tax situation there, you've heard of what a sin tax is, like you tax cigarettes and alcohol, right? So I would say living in Rhode Island, there's a pleasure tax. It's a very easy state to navigate. It has lovely ocean front. It has very more affordable access to lots of different things, a great arts community, great food. But the tax situation stinks. It's not a good, and that is something you should factor in, because you would be moving from a state, Texas, which has a low state income tax situation. Do you have a zero? Isn't it a zero tax for?
It is. Yep.
Rhode Island, a bigger one. So you should factor that into what it means when you. Not that you should do that only. I'm just saying you have to factor it in. And maybe you find out that like whatever you save on your rent or whatever you're saving in terms of like your day-to-day lifestyle, it will cost you more to live in the state of Rhode Island just because of the state income tax.
Yep.
Other than that, I think you're ready to rock and roll. Mark, do you have anything else do you want to know where he's from in France, right?
I wasn't going to ask that. I was just going to say, in terms of your investments, I mean, I know Jill said, would you say 15% bonds?
Yeah.
If you wanted to not do any bonds, you're so young, I'm fine with that as well.
Yeah, as long as we have the cash necessary to do the things you want to do. That's the thing that we really want to make sure you have.
You're maxing out your 401k, you're maxing out your Roth. So whatever you guys have left over in terms of cash flow, just put it into the brokerage account.
When we talk about investing in the brokerage account, dollar cost averaging, I'm guessing you're going to suggest is the best way to go. Over how many months?
Like I would just try to get yourself invested pretty quick. You're not going to have that much left over, right? Because we're going to have 50 grand for your emergency reserve, and then there's going to be a chunk of money that comes out for the wedding and the move, and so it's going to be. I almost would do it all at once. I mean, you're not going to have that much money. If it freaks you out, do it over, no more, let's say 3 to 6 months.
Got it. And is a 60-40 split the best strategy in your opinion?
No way.
No, you're too young for that.
Too young.
You're
Even
you're
for the
a plate.
brokerage.
Yeah.
And even though the time horizon is 10 years, right? Because it's gonna be
that's
for potential
intermediate
down
term.
payments.
I would say more 70-30 for you. And Mark is going to say 80-20.
Yeah,
I know that.
That's still way too conservative.
I mean,
for me.
it's all. Look, Mark, if it were 5 years, would you change your mind?
5 years?
Yeah,
5
if you were
years is
going to
a
buy a
long
house
time.
in 5 years. Yeah, I don't know.
80-20.
80-20 at the most. I don't know. I would, of course, self-disclosed here that I am the biggest wimp in the world. So don't make my mistake. You're young. You're going to make a lot of money. Wait, and we're not even counting for when you get all that money from the stock. I'm so excited.
Or the wedding
These
gifts.
guys could. I mean, oh yeah, but I bet that I don't know. I
months.
bet the French people don't give as much money. That's my guess. Am I right? I bet
That's
so.
true.
I know it. What else do you need from us?
Let's maybe talk about the 80-20 is just a total
Yes.
U.S. stock market index.
Or the S&P
and a total-
500 index and an intermediate
Yeah.
term bond index, and that's it.
So is it not recommended to do a total bond market ETF in that case?
You could do that. It's fine.
Yeah, total bond market fund.
Total's fine. Either one.
Either
It's fine.
index or ETF. And
Either way.
Either S&P or total stock. I'm an S&P
Okay.
guy, so it's whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
Maybe a quick question around international exposure. How does that?
I put
modify
a 10% international as part of your stock position.
And I do nothing.
And he does not do it. I do. I'm still a believer that someday, somewhere, somehow.
And maybe last question around piling cash for that down payment. Do you pull it out a year before, 2 years before?
It really depends. I think that once you're at least, like I would say if you're starting to look at homes, that's when I would pull the money out. And, you'll get a better sense of when, I think it sounds to me like you need to settle on a place where you would want to buy.
Yep.
Yeah, somewhere around probably a year. But whenever you're starting to look is when I would do it. If you would like to come on the air with us and talk through whatever's going on in your life, just give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click that Contact Us button, and write us a note. It's the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to work through whatever is going on in your financial life. And, I can't help but notice here we are, it's November already, and I'm already thinking about year-end financial planning. And if you're not, we encourage you to do so because the holidays are around the corner. You're going to get sucked down that rabbit hole. And before you know it, any move that you could have made to better your financial life, you might have missed the opportunity. If you want to get a head start on some of that year-end planning, I encourage you to subscribe to the Jill on Money Live service. Now, Jill on Money Live is basically 4 quarterly live webinars, the back catalog of those webinars, and bonus content. And our next webinar will be on November 14th at 7 Eastern Time. Our guest for the webinar is none other than the fantastic Michael Goodman. He is a certified financial planner. He's also a CPA, and he's going to answer questions live during this webinar, but only if you are a member of Jill on Money Live. It will cost you $35. You'll be able to attend this webinar, 3 more, the back catalog, all this stuff, $35. I think it's a pretty good deal. So I encourage you to check it out. Now, if you don't want to join, no problem. We've got a ton of free stuff on our website, including the free weekly newsletter. Comes out every Friday. Mark does such a great job assembling the stories you may have missed during the week. Also on the website, we have a link to our YouTube show called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. That might be a fun thing for you to check out as well. I'm doing some videos. The folks at The Compound do a lot of investing. If you want to scratch that itch, I encourage you to check that out. Again, all of the content that we produce, it lives on our website, JillOnMoney.com. Okay, right now, let's get to an email. This is from Everett, who said, I recently came across the Coast Fire movement and explored a few Coast Fire calculators. Based on these tools, it appears that we've reached our number, potentially allowing for early retirement at age 56 if we choose. My wife and I have consistently maxed out our Roth 401ks through our employer, as well as our HSA. Given that the calculators indicate that we're on track, would you have any concerns about scaling back to only contributing up to the company match and reallocating the remainder to a brokerage account for greater liquidity? For context, I'm 39 years old with $900,000 in retirement accounts, $500,000 in equity from a $1.5 million rental property portfolio. According to these projections, with our current retirement investments, which would include our future 401k contributions up to the match, and assuming a 6% annual return, we should have approximately $3.3 million by age 56. Your thoughts and insights on this approach would be greatly appreciated. Everett, are you trying to get the hate mail coming in? You are in incredible shape. So amazing. That's number one. So I think it would be perfectly fine for you to pull back a little bit on the retirement and start building up that non-retirement portfolio. For those of you listening, and you might be saying, well, why not do all Roth all the time? I think that is also possible. We always can take our Roth contributions out when we want, but I also think it's nice to have some flexibility with a plain old taxable account, and I think that would be great. And I'd love to hear more about how you were able to do this, able to accumulate so much wealth at such a young age. Wow, that's amazing. Think about what you want to do next, because 56 is pretty young. This is from Paula, who writes, my husband owns stock and wants to add my name as his wife of 53 plus years as the beneficiary. The company requested a medallion signature stamp. We can't find anyone who has one. Also, the company said that they will do it for an additional $250. Help. A medallion is something that is usually offered through an investment company. I don't know how much stock he has, but I might just pay for the stupid $250, even though it feels like highway robbery. In the back recesses of my mind, I think you might be able to get a medallion signature stamp from a bank, so you may want to check into that as well. Otherwise, all right, they'll shake you down for $250 and you just do it. Sorry about that. This last note is from Allegra, who writes, I just want to add a comment about how to pay for college, a topic you recently covered in one of your recent episodes. I recommend to your listeners that they look into direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans. Our daughter took out $5,500. It has been great to see her managing this loan on her own. Also, scholarships. My daughter applied for lots of local scholarships. She won 2 that were worth about $4,000 a year just just my 2 cents. Hey, I think it's great to have your kid be part of the process. I was just talking to a friend of mine about this very topic, and she was telling me that her nephew had decided to go to state school, and she mentioned the state. I said, wait, that's not the state that they live in. Don't they live in Pennsylvania? Why would they go to New Jersey? Why would they go to Rutgers? And she said, I have no idea. Gang, I want to really caution you about making these kinds of mistakes. These choices that young people are making can put them behind the 8 ball for, the first 10 years of their careers. Try to have honest conversations about what your family can do to get through the college years, and make sure that your kids understand that if they are making a different choice, you're not bailing them out, that they're going to be on their own. I know it's tough love, but I do think it kind of works too. If you've been contemplating something important in your life and it has some sort of impact on your money, on your finances, we'd love to hear from you. Just give us a shout. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, write us a note, and if you'd like to join us live, just check the box and Mark will do everything else. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money, answering your financial questions. Let's finish up the show with a question from Aaron, who writes, I just listened to your conversation with Anne about whole life insurance as an investment vehicle. It sounded like you were against it for Anne because she didn't have a family. I have a husband who stays home with 3 kids, and I work in the financial industry on the marketing side, and I have yet to come across a more polarizing issue. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because some of the men I work with, who I truly believe aren't trying to just sell me something, believe it is the absolute best way to create generational wealth. Well, Aaron, you're right. It is a polarizing issue. I always start with the basic premise of, does this person need life insurance? So let's look at your case. If you're the primary breadwinner and you were to pass away prematurely, would your heirs suffer? Do we need to build up the funding of their day-to-day expenses and also maybe future retirement for your spouse, for the kids' education? And if the answer is yes, we do need to do that, the cheapest way to insure against that risk is to buy term life insurance. With term, the insurance is in place for a period of time, a term, during which we hope you accumulate the dollars necessary to make any funds available for your heirs, and or your need diminishes, which usually means your kids get older and you don't have to take care of them anymore. In the case of whole life insurance, you're sort of lumping together this idea of buying insurance and also investing. And the cost of the whole life insurance or universal life insurance is so steep, it essentially makes that product prohibitively expensive when you compare it to buying term life insurance and investing that extra money you would have put in whole life into investments or retirement. I hope that helps. I'd love to talk to you more if you want to follow up with us. Okay, that's it for the show. If you need any information, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and Webb King. Lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.